The morning started like any other Tuesday. People drove to work, children went to school, and the world turned as it always had. Then, the sky changed. Massive shadows fell across New York, London, Tokyo, and dozens of other cities. Ships appeared, enormous beyond imagination, blocking out the sun with their dark metallic hulls. Commander Jake Morrison was drinking his third coffee of the morning at Peterson Space Command when every alarm in the facility started screaming. He dropped his mug and ran to the command center. The screens showed impossible things. 16 massive vessels hung in Earth's atmosphere. Each one, the size of a small city. They had appeared without warning, without any detection from satellites or radar systems. "Get me the president," Jake said, his voice steady despite the ice in his veins. Around him, officers scrambled to their stations. Phones rang constantly. Outside the reinforced windows, he could see one of the alien ships hovering in the distance, dark against the blue Colorado sky. In Montana, Lisa Brennan heard about the ships from her daughter, who had seen them on her phone. Lisa walked outside her ranch house and looked up. There, hanging over the mountains like a steel cloud, was one of them. She had served 2 tours as a Marine sergeant in the Middle East. She knew what this meant. War was coming. But this time the enemy came from the stars. The first message arrived 30 minutes after the ships appeared. Every television, every radio, every phone on Earth received it simultaneously. The voice was flat, emotionless, translated by technology humans had never seen before. "We are the Krathul Empire. You will surrender your world within 72 hours. Resistance will result in your extinction. We have conquered 17 star systems. You are primitive. You have no chance." The message repeated 3 times and then stopped. Silence fell across the planet, broken only by the sound of people crying, praying, or preparing to fight. Captain Ryan Clark stood on the deck of the carrier USS Independence, somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. His crew gathered around him, all eyes on the massive ship floating above them. It was so large that it created its own weather system, clouds forming around its edges. "Get the fighters ready," Ryan ordered. "I don't care what they say. Nobody surrenders this ship without a fight." At a small intelligence center in Virginia, Nicole Brady stared at her computer screens. She was one of the best analysts in the agency, trained to decode communications from hostile nations. Now she had something far more challenging. The alien message had contained more than just words. Buried in the data were fragments of their language, pieces of their technology's signature. She started working, her fingers flying across the keyboard. If she could understand how they communicated, maybe she could find a weakness. The world leaders held emergency meetings. The President of the United States spoke with the Prime Ministers of Britain, Japan, Russia, and China. For the first time in decades, old enemies agreed on something. They would not surrender. Humanity had survived ice ages, plagues, and world wars. They would survive this too. Jake Morrison received orders to prepare Earth's defenses. It was almost laughable. Earth's weapons were designed to fight other humans, not alien warships that could cross the galaxy. But he had learned long ago that soldiers don't give up just because the odds are bad. He started coordinating with military bases around the world, sharing data, planning strategies that might buy them time. On the second day, the aliens sent another message. This one showed images of other worlds they had conquered. Cities burning, populations fleeing, armies crushed in minutes. The message was clear. This is your future. But the Krathul had made a mistake. Instead of terrifying humans into surrender, the images made them angry. Lisa Brennan watched the alien propaganda and felt something cold settle in her chest. She knew how to fight. She had trained for years to survive in hostile territory, to resist superior forces, to never quit. She started making phone calls to old friends from the military. Within hours, She had 30 people ready to fight. All of them veterans who refused to bow to threats. Nicole Brady made her first breakthrough on the second night. The alien communications used a pattern she recognized from her work on encrypted messages. They were arrogant. Their signals weren't even properly secured. She started intercepting their internal communications. And what she found surprised her. The Krathul were discussing how easy this conquest would be. They expected humanity to surrender before the deadline. They had never faced real resistance before. She wrote a report and sent it up the chain of command. The message reached Jake Morrison within an hour. He read it 3 times, a grim smile forming on his face. The aliens were overconfident. That was good. Overconfidence could be exploited. The deadline arrived. 72 hours had passed, and not a single nation on Earth had surrendered. The Krathul commander, orbiting the planet in his flagship, received the reports with confusion. This had never happened before. Every other species had either surrendered immediately or been wiped out in days. These humans were doing neither. He gave the order to begin the invasion. Drop pods started falling from the alien ships, burning through the atmosphere like falling stars. They targeted military bases first, trying to destroy Earth's ability to fight back. The pods crashed into the ground with tremendous force, and armored Krathul soldiers emerged, their weapons ready. But something unexpected happened. The humans fought back. At Peterson Space Command, Jake Morrison watched his defenses come alive. Missiles launched from hidden silos. Anti-aircraft guns opened fire. Fighter jets scrambled to intercept the alien craft. The aliens had superior technology, but the humans had something else. They had home field advantage, and they had nothing to lose. The first Krathul soldier to die on Earth fell in Colorado, shot by a sniper from 2 miles away. The second died when his squad walked into a minefield outside a military base. The third burned when humans used flamethrowers against his unit during a tunnel assault. By the end of the first day of fighting, the Krathul had lost more soldiers than in their last 3 conquests combined. In Montana, Lisa Brennan's group ambushed an alien patrol using hunting rifles and homemade explosives. They killed 5 Krathul soldiers and captured alien weapons. Lisa examined the strange guns, figuring out how they worked. The aliens had better technology, but technology could be learned and stolen. Ryan Clark's carrier group engaged alien ships over the Pacific. They lost 3 destroyers and 2 frigates, but they brought down an alien landing craft. The wreckage sank into the ocean, and Ryan sent divers to recover whatever they could. Every piece of alien technology was valuable now. As the sun set on the first day of the invasion, Jake Morrison looked at the casualty reports. Thousands dead, military bases damaged or destroyed, cities under attack. But the invasion had stalled. The aliens controlled less than 1% of the planet's surface, and humans were fighting them for every inch. Nicole Brady's intelligence showed that the Krathul were confused and angry. This wasn't how conquests were supposed to go. The war had begun, and humanity had drawn first blood. The Krathul expected an easy victory. Instead, they found a species that refused to die quietly. The battle for Earth had only just started. The first week of fighting taught both sides hard lessons. The Krathul learned that humans were unpredictable and dangerous. Humans learned that alien technology could be beaten with courage and clever tactics. Cities became battlegrounds, and the war spread across every continent. In Chicago, former Army Ranger Ben Carter led a group of civilians through the ruins of downtown. The aliens had bombed several buildings, trying to scare people into hiding. Instead, it gave humans places to hide and ambush from. Ben's group had 20 people, armed with whatever they could find. Hunting rifles, shotguns, even baseball bats for close combat. They weren't trained soldiers, but Ben taught them everything he knew about urban warfare. They found a Krathul patrol moving through the street, 6 aliens in powered armor with weapons that could burn through concrete. Ben signaled his people to wait. Patience was the key. The aliens walked past their position, confident and unafraid. They had never lost a fight before. That was about to change. Ben gave the signal. Explosives hidden in the rubble detonated, throwing 2 aliens to the ground. His people opened fire from windows and doorways, targeting weak points in the armor. The aliens tried to return fire, but they were surrounded, confused. In 90 seconds, all 6 were dead. Ben's group grabbed their weapons and disappeared into the ruins before reinforcements could arrive. Over the Pacific Ocean, Navy pilot Kate Sullivan flew her fighter jet toward an alien craft. Her squadron had 12 planes when the fight started. Now, she had 4. The alien ships were faster and had better shields, but Kate had learned something important. They couldn't turn as quickly as human aircraft. She dove toward the ocean, the alien following her. At the last second, she pulled up hard, her jet screaming in protest. The alien pilot tried to follow, but couldn't match the turn. His ship hit the water at high speed and exploded. Kate felt no joy, only grim satisfaction. She had lost too many friends already. But every alien ship she destroyed was one less weapon aimed at Earth. She radioed her wingmen, sharing what she had learned. Soon, pilots around the world were using the same tactic. The aliens were starting to avoid dogfights with human aircraft. Jake Morrison coordinated the global defense from his command center. The screens showed battles happening across the planet. In Africa, guerrilla fighters were using the jungle to devastating effect. In Europe, tank battalions were engaging alien armor with mixed results. In Asia, massive infantry forces were overwhelming alien positions through sheer numbers. The Krathel had expected an easy conquest. Instead, they were bleeding. He received a call from Nicole Brady. She had been working non-stop, intercepting alien communications and learning their language. "Commander, you need to hear this," she said, her voice tired but excited. "The aliens are panicking. Their casualty rates are higher than anything they've experienced before. They're calling Earth the death world in their reports." Jake felt a cold smile cross his face. Good. Let them be afraid. Fear was a weapon, and humans knew how to use it. "What else did you learn?" he asked. Nicole sent him a file. "Their empire isn't as strong as they pretend. They rule through fear, not military power. Most of their conquered worlds surrendered without fighting. They've never had to face sustained resistance before. If we keep fighting, keep making them bleed, they might give up." This was the best news Jake had heard since the invasion started. He immediately shared the intelligence with military leaders around the world. The message was clear. Keep fighting. Keep making it expensive for the aliens. Every day, humanity survived, was a day closer to victory. In Montana, Lisa Brennan's group had grown. Word spread that she was organizing resistance, and veterans from across the state came to help. She now had over 100 fighters, and they had ambushed enough alien patrols to arm themselves with captured weapons. The Krathel guns were powerful, but simple to use. Point and shoot. Just like human weapons. She was teaching a class on improvised explosives when someone brought news. A large alien force was moving toward their position, maybe 200 soldiers with armored vehicles. Lisa felt her heart race, but her face stayed calm. "Get everyone ready," she said. "We're going to show these aliens what happens when they mess with Montana." They had been preparing for this. The mountain roads had hidden explosives. The forests had sniper positions. The old mining tunnels provided escape routes. When the aliens came, they would walk into a trap that would make history. Ryan Clark's carrier group had been reinforced with ships from Allied navies. Chinese destroyers sailed alongside American cruisers. Russian submarines coordinated with British frigates. Old enemies had become brothers in arms, united against the threat from the stars. They patrolled the oceans, hunting alien vessels that tried to hide in the deep waters. They found an alien base hidden in an underwater canyon. Ryan ordered an attack using torpedoes and depth charges. The battle was brutal, fought in the dark waters where neither side could see clearly. But humans had been fighting naval battles for centuries. They knew these waters, knew how to hunt in the depths. The alien base was destroyed, and Ryan's fleet captured survivors for interrogation. Kate Sullivan landed her fighter jet on a makeshift runway, exhausted from another patrol. She had shot down 3 alien craft today, bringing her total to 17. Other pilots called her an ace, a hero. She didn't feel like a hero. She felt tired and angry and scared. But she kept flying because someone had to. Because every alien ship she destroyed saved human lives on the ground. Ben Carter's group in Chicago had become legendary. They had killed over 100 alien soldiers in 3 weeks, using hit-and-run tactics that drove the Krathul crazy. The aliens sent more troops to hunt them down, but Ben just melted into the ruins. His people knew every tunnel, every building, every hiding spot. The aliens were strangers in a hostile land, and they were paying for it with their lives. One night, Ben's group captured an alien officer. Through broken English and gestures, they learned something important. The Krathul were afraid of humans. Not just worried, but genuinely terrified. They had thought humans would be easy prey, but instead, they found warriors who never quit, who fought with a fury the aliens had never seen before. Jake Morrison received reports from every front. The news was mixed. Humans were losing ground in some places, gaining it in others. Casualties were horrible on both sides, but the important thing was that humanity was still fighting. The Krathul had expected to conquer Earth in days. Now, weeks had passed, and they controlled maybe 10% of the planet. Nicole Brady made another breakthrough. She hacked into an alien communication satellite and intercepted a message to the Krathul homeworld. The invasion commander was asking for more troops, more ships, more weapons. He admitted that humans were far more dangerous than expected. The message ended with a warning. These creatures do not know how to surrender. They fight like demons. Send reinforcements, or we will lose this world. The message spread through Earth's military like wildfire. Humans were winning. Not easily, not without terrible cost, but they were winning. Morale soared. Recruitment offices were flooded with volunteers. People who had hidden in fear now came out to fight. Lisa Brennan's trap worked perfectly. When the alien force entered the mountain pass, explosives destroyed their vehicles. Snipers picked off officers. Then her entire group attacked from the forests, using captured alien weapons alongside their own. The battle lasted 3 hours. When it ended, most of the alien force was dead or captured. Lisa's group had lost 12 people, and each loss hurt. But they had proven something important. Humans could win big battles, not just small ambushes. Winter was coming to the northern hemisphere. Jake Morrison realized this was an advantage. Intelligence showed the Krathul came from a warm planet. They had never fought in snow and ice. He started planning winter campaigns, preparing to use the cold as a weapon against the invaders. As the second month of fighting began, the situation was clear. The Krathul invasion had stalled. They held some territory, but they couldn't expand. Human resistance was too strong, too creative, too stubborn. Every day they stayed on Earth cost them more soldiers, more equipment, more confidence. The mighty Krathul Empire had finally met an enemy that refused to break, and they were learning what it meant to fight for survival against a species that would never surrender their home. 6 weeks had passed since the invasion began. The Krathul Empire, which had conquered 17 star systems, was losing ground on Earth. Their soldiers died in ambushes. Their ships fell from the sky, and their confidence crumbled day by day. The humans had turned their planet into a nightmare for the invaders. Jake Morrison barely slept anymore. From his command center, he coordinated military forces across the globe. The old rivalries between nations had disappeared. Chinese generals shared tactics with American commanders. Russian special forces trained African militia groups. Japanese engineers worked with European scientists to reverse engineer captured alien technology. For the first time in human history, the entire planet fought as one. The war had developed patterns. The aliens controlled parts of major cities and some strategic locations, but they couldn't hold the countryside. Human resistance fighters owned the forests, mountains, and deserts. They attacked alien supply lines, destroyed their equipment, and made every inch of occupied territory dangerous. Ben Carter's group in Chicago had grown to over 300 fighters. They weren't just civilians with guns anymore. They were a trained military unit, battle-hardened and efficient. Ben had set up a command structure, divided his people into squads, and established supply lines. They had captured so many alien weapons that they could equip everyone with advanced technology. One morning, Ben led a raid on an alien command post. His people moved through the ruined city like ghosts, avoiding patrols and cameras. When they attacked, it was fast and brutal. Explosives destroyed the building's supports. Snipers took out sentries. Assault teams stormed inside, clearing rooms with practiced efficiency. They killed 30 aliens and captured valuable intelligence computers. By the time alien reinforcements arrived, Ben's group had vanished into the underground tunnels. Kate Sullivan had become one of Earth's top fighter aces. She had shot down 29 alien craft, and her tactics were taught to pilots worldwide. But the war in the air was changing. The aliens had stopped sending their ships out alone. They traveled in formations now, protected by shields and coordinated fire. It made them harder to kill, but it also meant they were afraid. She led a squadron on a mission to protect a supply convoy. Alien fighters intercepted them over the Atlantic. The battle was chaotic. Jets and alien craft weaving through the sky at incredible speeds. Kate destroyed 2 enemies but lost 3 of her wingmen. When she returned to base, she didn't celebrate her kills. She wrote letters to the families of the pilots who didn't come back. Lisa Brennan had become famous across Montana and beyond. Her tactics manual, written from her experience fighting the aliens, was being distributed to resistance groups worldwide. It covered everything from building improvised explosives to coordinating ambushes to psychological warfare against an enemy that had never experienced fear before. Her group controlled a large section of the Montana mountains. The aliens had tried to attack them 5 times and failed every time. The terrain was too difficult, the humans knew it too well, and Lisa's fighters were too skilled. Now the aliens avoided her territory, which was exactly what Lisa wanted. It allowed her to send teams to attack alien positions in other areas. One of her biggest successes came when her fighters ambushed an alien supply column. They destroyed 6 vehicles and captured weapons, ammunition, and most importantly, food supplies. The interrogation of captured aliens revealed something interesting. The Krathul were having trouble getting supplies from their ships in orbit. Human attacks had made their logistics a nightmare. Ryan Clark commanded a multinational naval task force that hunted alien vessels in the oceans. The Krathul had tried to establish underwater bases, thinking Earth's seas would be safe havens. They were wrong. Human submarines, with centuries of naval warfare experience, turned the oceans into killing grounds for alien ships. His latest victory came off the coast of Japan. Sonar detected an alien vessel trying to hide in a deep trench. Ryan coordinated an attack with Japanese and Chinese submarines. They used tactics developed in old wars, modified for fighting aliens. Torpedoes struck from multiple directions, overwhelming the alien ship's shields. When it tried to surface ships were waiting with missiles. The alien vessel never had a chance. Nicole Brady worked in an intelligence facility that had become the brain of Earth's resistance. She had learned the Krathul language fluently now and could intercept and decode their communications in real time. What she discovered painted a clear picture. The Krathul Empire was panicking. She listened to a conversation between the invasion commander and someone on the Krathul homeworld. The commander begged for more troops, more ships, more resources. The response was cold and angry. The Emperor was furious that a primitive world was holding off his forces. He called the commander incompetent and threatened punishment, but he wasn't sending reinforcements. Nicole understood why. The Krathul Empire ruled through fear. If their other conquered worlds learned that humans were defeating them, it could spark rebellions everywhere. The Empire couldn't afford to send massive forces to Earth because that would leave their other territories vulnerable. They were trapped by their own system. She shared this intelligence with Jake Morrison, who immediately saw the implications. "They're stuck," he said, reading her report. "They can't win. But they can't admit defeat either. We just have to keep bleeding them until they give up." Jake launched a new strategy. Instead of just defending, human forces went on the offensive. Coordinated attacks hit alien positions simultaneously across the globe. In Europe, tank divisions smashed through alien defenses. In South America, jungle fighters destroyed alien bases. In Asia, massive infantry assaults pushed aliens out of occupied cities. The Krathul, already stretched thin, started losing ground rapidly. Winter came to the northern hemisphere, and it changed everything. The Krathul, from a warm planet, had never fought in snow and ice. Their equipment malfunctioned in the cold. Their soldiers suffered from the freezing temperatures. Meanwhile, human forces from Canada, Russia, and Northern Europe were trained for winter warfare. They launched attacks during snowstorms, using the weather as cover. Ben Carter's group adapted to winter quickly. They used skis and snowmobiles to move fast through the mountains. They wore white camouflage that made them invisible in the snow. One night, during a blizzard, they attacked an alien base. The Krathul couldn't see them coming through the storm. By the time the aliens realized they were under attack, half their force was dead. Kate Sullivan flew missions in winter conditions that would have grounded her a year ago. The aliens hated flying in snowstorms, but Kate had trained for it. She led attacks on alien ships during the worst weather, knowing they would be vulnerable. Her squadron destroyed supply ships, trying to deliver warm weather gear to ground forces. Lisa Brennan's mountain territory became impregnable in winter. The aliens couldn't reach her through the snow-covered passes. She used this time to train new fighters and plan spring offensives. Her group now numbered over 500, and more arrived every week. Veterans from all branches of the military came to learn from her. The Krathul tried a major offensive in December, throwing everything they had at human defenses. For 3 days, the battle raged across multiple continents. The aliens used their best weapons, their most elite troops, their newest tactics. But humans had learned and adapted. Every trick the aliens tried had a counter. Every attack was met with fierce resistance. When the offensive failed, the Krathul had lost thousands of soldiers and dozens of ships. Human casualties were heavy too. But the difference was clear. Humans were willing to pay the price for their freedom. The Krathul were fighting for conquest, and their will was breaking. Nicole Brady intercepted communications, showing officers questioning orders. Some alien units had stopped patrolling at night because they were afraid of human ambushes. Desertions were happening, something unheard of in the Krathul military. The proud empire was crumbling against human resistance. Jake Morrison looked at the war map. After 6 weeks, the aliens controlled less territory than they had after 1 week. Every day they lost more ground. The momentum had completely shifted. He knew they hadn't won yet, but for the first time since the invasion started, he believed they could win. The Krathul Empire had expected to add Earth to their collection of conquered worlds. Instead, they found humans, a species that refused to quit, that adapted to every challenge, that fought with a determination born from defending their home. The grind of daily combat was destroying the alien invasion force piece by piece, and everyone knew it was only a matter of time before something had to break. 4 months after the invasion began, humanity was ready to strike back. Jake Morrison stood in the command center. looking at the holographic display of Earth and the alien ships in orbit. The largest ship, the Krathul command vessel, hung over New York like a dark moon. It was the brain of the invasion, and Jake planned to cut it off. Operation Retribution was the most ambitious military action in human history. Every military force on Earth would participate. The goal was simple: destroy the command ship and break the alien invasion forever. Jake had been planning this for weeks, coordinating with commanders across the globe. "All forces, this is Morrison," he said into the communication system. "Execute Operation Retribution for Earth." Across the planet, the attack began. Ground-based railguns, newly built using captured alien technology, fired at the Krathul ships in orbit. Missiles launched from hidden silos, and in the sky, 1,000 fighter aircraft took off, heading for space. Leading them was Kate Sullivan. Kate felt her heart pounding as her fighter climbed through the atmosphere. Behind her flew pilots from every nation on Earth. Some flew human aircraft, modified, with captured technology. Others flew captured alien fighters that had been repaired and reprogrammed. They were a mix of old and new, human and alien technology, combined into a deadly force. The orbital battle started before they even reached space. Alien ships fired defensive weapons, trying to stop the missile barrage. Some missiles were destroyed, but many got through. Explosions bloomed in orbit as alien vessels took damage. The railgun fire was devastating, punching through shields and armor with pure kinetic force. Kate's squadron entered space and immediately engaged alien fighters. The battle was chaos, ships weaving between each other at incredible speeds. She destroyed an alien fighter with a burst from her captured weapon, then rolled to avoid return fire. Around her, human pilots fought with desperate courage. They were outnumbered, but they had surprise and determination on their side. On the ground, Ben Carter led his 300 fighters in an assault on the main Krathul base in North America. They had been preparing for this moment, mapping every entrance, every weak point, every guard rotation. The attack began with explosives detonating in the tunnel systems below the base, causing confusion and panic. Ben's teams emerged from sewers and underground passages, appearing inside the alien perimeter. They moved fast, using captured alien weapons to deadly effect. The Krathul had never expected humans to attack from below. Their defenses were designed to stop attacks from outside, not from within. The fighting was brutal and close. Ben fought through corridors and rooms, his people clearing the base section by section. They used grenades, explosives, and hand-to-hand combat when necessary. The aliens were strong, but humans were fighting with the fury of a species defending their home. Outside the base, Lisa Brennan's group launched their own attack. 500 fighters hit the base from every direction simultaneously. They had brought heavy weapons, including captured alien vehicles. The coordinated assault from inside and outside overwhelmed the alien defenses. The Krathul tried to retreat, but there was nowhere to go. Lisa fought alongside her people, using an alien rifle that she had learned to handle like a professional. She saw aliens falling, saw her own people dying too, but she never stopped moving forward. This was the moment that would decide the war. They had to win, no matter the cost. Ryan Clark's Naval Task Force launched their part of the operation from beneath the Atlantic Ocean. His ships, equipped with captured alien shields and weapons, rose from the water and began bombarding Krathul positions along the eastern seaboard. The aliens had never suspected that human ships could be modified so extensively. The surprise was complete. His destroyers and cruisers fired missiles and energy weapons, destroying alien installations and preventing any reinforcements from reaching the command ship. Submarines launched torpedoes at alien vessels, trying to escape into the ocean. The coordination was perfect, the result of months of training and preparation. In orbit, Kate Sullivan led a strike group toward the command ship. They had lost over 200 fighters already, but the survivors pressed on. The command ship was massive, bristling with weapons, protected by shields and point defense systems. But humans had learned how to fight alien technology. They knew the weak points now. Kate's group split into multiple attack waves. Some fighters drew the defensive fire, while others went for the shield generators. It was a tactic that would cost lives, and Kate knew some of her friends wouldn't survive. But there was no other way. She targeted a shield generator and fired, her weapons burning through the alien technology. The generator exploded, and part of the ship's shields collapsed. Other fighters poured through the gap, firing at the ship's weapon systems and engines. The command ship tried to rotate, bringing more weapons to bear, but it was too large and slow. Human fighters swarmed it like angry bees, striking from every angle. Nicole Brady sat in a forward command center, coordinating the intelligence warfare. She had captured alien communication systems weeks ago and had been waiting for this moment. Now she fed false information through their networks, sending alien units into ambushes. She created fake distress calls that drew ships away from the command ship. She caused chaos in their command structure, making it impossible for them to coordinate a proper defense. She also broadcast a message to all Krathul forces, in their own language, telling them the war was over and they should surrender. Some did. Others kept fighting. But the confusion was spreading. Jake Morrison watched the battle unfold on his screens. The command ship was taking heavy damage, but it wasn't destroyed yet. Ground forces were succeeding, pushing aliens out of their bases. Naval forces controlled the oceans. The air and space battle was still raging, but humans were holding their own. Then Kate Sullivan did something incredible. Her fighter had taken damage and was barely flying. She could have retreated, but she saw an opportunity. The command ship's main reactor was exposed after the shield generators fell. If she could hit it with a heavy missile, it might cause a chain reaction. She armed her last nuclear-tipped missile, a weapon salvaged from old human arsenals and modified to work in space. Her targeting computer locked onto the reactor. She knew the explosion would probably destroy her fighter too. But she didn't hesitate. For all the pilots who had died, for all the people on Earth who were counting on them, she fired. The missile streaked toward the command ship. Point defense systems tried to shoot it down but missed. It hit the reactor core and detonated. The nuclear explosion was contained inside the ship for a moment, and then the reactor went critical. The command ship tore itself apart from the inside, a chain reaction of explosions that lit up orbit like a new sun. Kate managed to pull away at the last second, her fighter damaged but still flying. She watched the command ship break into pieces, debris scattering across orbit. The Krathul invasion commander and his entire staff died in the explosion. The brain of the invasion was gone. On the ground, Ben Carter's and Lisa Brennan's forces finished clearing the main base. They had lost over 100 fighters, but they had won. The alien soldiers who survived surrendered, their will broken without leadership from orbit. Across Earth, the news spread instantly. The command ship was destroyed. Alien forces everywhere received the information and reacted in shock. Some units tried to keep fighting, but most realized the war was lost. Within hours, organized resistance from the Krathul collapsed. Jake Morrison watched as alien units surrendered across the globe. Some fought to the death, but they were quickly eliminated. The war wasn't completely over, but the turning point had come. Humanity had struck back and won. The Krathul fleet in orbit began withdrawing, pulling back to a safe distance. They left behind thousands of prisoners and abandoned equipment. Their proud empire had been defeated by a species they considered primitive. Nicole Brady intercepted a communication from the Krathul Emperor himself. He was recalling the invasion force, cutting his losses. The message was full of rage and humiliation, but underneath it was fear. Fear of what humans could do if they developed space travel. Fear of what example this defeat would set for his other conquered worlds. As the sun rose on a new day, humans looked at the sky and saw the alien ships leaving. The war had cost millions of lives and left cities in ruins. But Earth remained free. The species that had never surrendered had proven that courage and determination could defeat even the stars themselves. 1 week after the destruction of the command ship, the last Krathul vessels left Earth's orbit. They abandoned their bases, their equipment, and thousands of prisoners. The invasion that was supposed to last days had stretched into 4 months of brutal warfare, and the mighty Krathul Empire had lost. Humanity stood victorious, bloodied but unbroken. Jake Morrison walked through the ruins of Peterson Space Command. The base had taken heavy damage during the war, but it was being rebuilt already. Workers cleared debris while engineers restored communication systems. Humanity wasn't just recovering, they were preparing. The aliens might come back, and Earth needed to be ready. He had been promoted to general and given command of Earth's unified defense force. All nations had agreed to keep their military alliance even after the war ended. Old borders and rivalries seemed foolish now. They had seen what could come from the stars. And they knew unity was the only way to survive. Jake stood in front of a memorial wall where names of the fallen were being carved. Millions had died during the invasion. Soldiers, pilots, civilians who fought in resistance groups, and those who simply were in the wrong place when the aliens attacked. Each name represented a life lost defending Earth. He placed his hand on the cold stone and made a silent promise. Their sacrifice would not be forgotten. Kate Sullivan sat in a classroom at the new Fighter Pilot Academy. Around her were young men and women eager to learn how to fly. They looked at her with respect and awe. She was a hero to them, the ace who had destroyed the alien command ship. But Kate didn't feel like a hero. She felt tired and haunted by memories of friends who never came home. Still, she taught them everything she knew. How to fight against superior technology. How to exploit enemy weaknesses. How to stay calm when death was coming at you at incredible speeds. These students would be Earth's first space fighter wing, trained to defend the planet from any future threat. During breaks, she walked outside and looked at the sky. Human ships were up there now, patrolling where alien vessels once threatened. Engineers had reverse-engineered captured Krathul technology and built Earth's first true spacecraft. The prototype fighters could travel to the moon and back, and soon they would go farther. Ben Carter returned to Montana, but he couldn't stay on his ranch. The peaceful life he once knew was gone forever. Too many things had changed, including himself. He had led people in battle, seen the worst of war, and learned that he was good at it. That knowledge bothered him sometimes, but he accepted it. The government asked him to help train a new rapid response force designed to counter alien invasions. Soldiers from every nation would learn the tactics that had defeated the Krathul. Ben agreed because he knew his skills were needed. In a quiet office, he wrote training manuals that would be used worldwide, documenting every lesson learned during the war. His group from Chicago had become famous. Books and movies were already being made about their exploits. Ben didn't care about fame. He cared that Earth would be ready if the aliens ever came back. Lisa Brennan became the most influential military strategist on the planet. Her manual on asymmetric warfare against technologically superior enemies was translated into every language. Military academies taught her tactics. New recruits studied her battles. World leaders consulted her on defense planning. She traveled the world, teaching resistance warfare to military units. Her message was simple. Technology can be beaten by courage, creativity, and determination. The Krathul had better weapons, but humans had something more important. They had the will to never give up. At night, she still dreamed of the people she lost during the war. Every face was clear in her memory. But she also remembered the victories, the moments when her people did the impossible. Those memories kept her going. Ryan Clark commanded Earth's first space navy. The ships under his command were built using both human and alien technology, creating vessels more advanced than anything either species had alone. He led exploration missions to the asteroid belt and beyond, claiming resources that would help Earth expand into space. His fleet also served as Earth's guardian, patrolling the solar system for any signs of alien activity. The Krathul were gone. But other species existed in the galaxy. Some might be friendly, others hostile. Earth needed to be ready for both. He thought about the naval battles fought during the invasion. Human ships had been outmatched at first, but they adapted and won. That ability to adapt was humanity's greatest strength, and Ryan made sure every officer in the Space Navy understood that. Nicole Brady joined the Office of Xenological Intelligence, a new agency dedicated to understanding alien species and threats. She analyzed the vast amount of data captured from the Krathul, learning about their empire, their technology, and their psychology. What she discovered was both encouraging and concerning. The Krathul Empire was collapsing. Their defeat on Earth had inspired rebellions on other conquered worlds. Species that had been enslaved for generations were fighting for freedom, using tactics they learned from news of Earth's resistance. The mighty empire was fracturing into civil wars and independence movements. But Nicole also found evidence of other alien civilizations in the galaxy. Some seemed peaceful, focused on trade and exploration. Others were warlike, possibly even more dangerous than the Krathul. Earth needed to prepare for contact with all of them. She worked long hours, building databases of alien languages and cultures. When humanity finally traveled to the stars, they would go informed and ready. Nicole made sure of that. 5 years after the invasion, Earth was transformed. The ruins of cities had been rebuilt, often better than before. Technology had advanced by decades thanks to captured alien equipment. Clean energy, advanced medicine, and new materials changed daily life for everyone. But the biggest change was political. Earth had formed a unified government, the United Earth Alliance. All nations kept their independence and cultures, but they agreed to work together on defense, space exploration, and major decisions. The old hatreds that caused human wars seemed petty now. They had faced extinction together and survived together. The first human colony was established on Mars. Thousands of people lived there now, building cities under protective domes. More colonies were being planned for the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. Humanity was becoming a spacefaring civilization. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the EDS Defiance, Earth's first true warship. It was massive, armed with weapons that combined human and alien technology. The ship was faster than light, capable of traveling to other star systems. He commanded a crew of 5,000, the best Earth had to offer. Their mission was to explore former Krathul space and make contact with the species that had been freed. Earth wanted allies, friends, who would stand with them if another threat emerged. But they also wanted to show the galaxy that humans were not victims anymore. They were warriors, explorers, and a force to be respected. As the ship prepared to leave the solar system, Jake thought about how far humanity had come. 5 years ago, they were fighting for survival against an alien invasion. Now they were heading to the stars as equals, ready to take their place in the galactic community. Nicole Brady sat beside him, serving as the ship's xenological officer. She would help establish communication with alien species and gather intelligence. She smiled as the countdown began. This was what she had worked for, what all of Earth had worked for. The Defiance's engines engaged, and the ship jumped to faster-than-light speed. Behind them, Earth continued its transformation. New ships were being built, more colonies established, and defenses strengthened. The planet that almost fell to invasion was now preparing to explore and protect an entire galaxy. In former Krathul space, freed species received messages from Earth. The species that defeated the Empire wanted to help them build new civilizations. Some welcomed Earth's help, others were cautious, wondering if humans would become new conquerors. But all of them knew one thing: Earth was now a power in the galaxy. The message spread across star systems, told by traders and travelers, discussed in alien councils and broadcast on communication networks. There was a world called Earth, where a species called humans lived. The Krathul tried to conquer them and failed. The humans fought back with such determination, such creativity, such refusal to surrender, that they broke an empire. The phrase became a warning among militaristic civilizations. Don't invade Earth. The humans will make you regret it. Kate Sullivan, now training the third generation of spacefighter pilots, heard about Earth's growing reputation and smiled. She told her students about the invasion, about how outmatched humanity had been, and how they won anyway. We won because we refused to quit, she said. Remember that. No matter how bad things look, humans never surrender. Ben Carter watched a news report about the colonies on Mars and the exploration missions heading deeper into space. He felt proud of what humanity had accomplished. The species that almost died 5 years ago was now spreading across the stars, stronger and more united than ever. Lisa Brennan wrote a final chapter for her tactics manual. It wasn't about fighting anymore. It was about hope. We faced annihilation, she wrote, and we survived. We were divided, and we united. We were weak, and we became strong. The invasion was the worst thing that ever happened to humanity. But it was also the moment we became who we were meant to be. We are explorers, warriors, and survivors. We are human, and we are ready for whatever the universe brings. As Earth's ships spread across the galaxy, carrying explorers, diplomats, and soldiers, the message was clear. Humanity had been tested in fire and emerged stronger. They had faced an empire that conquered star systems and turned it back. Now they stood resolute, ready to defend their home and explore the infinite possibilities of space. The invaders had landed, expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they found humans, and that made all the difference. The battle-tested species that refused to break, that adapted to every challenge, that fought with courage, born from protecting their home. Earth survived, and now the galaxy would learn what that meant. The war was over, but humanity's journey had just begun.